Probably failed your jam form and maybe put medicine. Oh, you're about to do that. Well, I'm here to tell you not to do that yet. Hold on a bit, watch this video, and then come to a conclusion whether you still want to study medicine or not. You see, when I was about filling my jam form, my brother called me aside. My brother is a doctor right now. He was in medical school, probably in his fourth or fifth year, and he called me aside and told me, "Don't put medicine as your course of study." I didn't understand what he meant by that because ever since I was a little boy, that is what I wanted to be, and like throughout secondary school, that's what I was striving for to finally become a medical student or to finally become a doctor. And right now, I'm in my penultimate year, my fifth year in other schools, but sixth year in Bowen University. And I'm going to be saying this just the same way my brother told me to. You, like a big brother, will tell his younger one, because of what he has seen ahead, is don't put medicine as your jam course. Well, this is not to discourage you, but this is just to enlighten you of what it really takes to become a medical doctor. I've seen the vlogs, you have seen the lifestyle, I've seen the prestige of medical doctors around the world. Maybe you have a family friend that's a doctor, maybe you have a family member that's a doctor. Many people have different motivations to want to be medical doctors or want to get to medical school. Mine was because that's all I always wanted to do, and because I had some experiences in the hospital and some surgeries, and in my head I was like, wow, this is what the doctor can save your life, and the doctor can do this and this. And well, back then I heard they were very well paid, so it was a no-brainer. The money, the prestige, everything comes to being a doctor. But is that the case right now at this time and in this century? And would you want to give about a decade of your life to school? Because in Nigeria right now, you hardly find any medical school. Probably was meant to be 6 years, but everybody spends more than 6 years. People spend 7, 8, 9, 10 years in medical school, and a lot of change is going to happen down the line. A lot of transformation is going to happen. The thing is, you're picking medicine now based on the fact that your future self would love being a doctor, would love working as a doctor. But I can tell you that when I was in secondary school, when I was 15, 14, 13, and I already made up my mind because wait, when I was like 14, I already chosen I was going to be in science class, and the whole main aim was to become a doctor. I don't know, I can maybe put up my future ambition up on the screen if I see the picture. And that's what I wanted. But if I was to go back in time, I would have explored other things. How do I put this? If I would go back in time, I would tell myself to explore more and then end up choosing. And this is one reason why I feel Jamb itself should not just have a system of, oh, this is this year's score and you can't use it for next year. I feel that's uh, very archaic, and it's just a way to generate more income for Jamb. But who am I? Who am I to stop their income flow? But there's a need to step back and to get an orientation on what it takes to be a medical student, and it's going to be worth it. Don't get afraid. I'm not here to scare you. I'm just here to tell you, don't get afraid. It's going to be worth it in the end. It always is. But the first thing I'll say is that you should be prepared to spend a very long time in school, and you'll see that your mates who may have come into school with you for like the 4 years, they will graduate, and then you'll still be back in school. People, your juniors who will come after you 3 years after, they may even still finish before you, and with you. So be prepared for that. Prepared to spend a long, lengthy amount of time in school. But it's something that someone said a while back on Twitter. I can't really remember the person's handle. And he said the year spent in medical school is, people may look at it as a disadvantage because by the time you're finishing, maybe at 25, maybe go to school at at 18, and by the time you're finishing maybe at 25, or maybe it can even be a longer time, and it looks like setback because many of your mates are already in the job market around 20 and they've already made some career progression. But the truth is the years spent in medical school are still years of your life, and it's up to you to like make the best use of every moment which you have in medical school. Apart from the long years, they are going to be writing exams every single time. Once, like after your 100, enjoy your 100 levels. If you get into medical school, wonderful, good for you. And if you're choosing medicine right now, just know that once you get in, your first year is like the year you should use to enjoy and explore. And because when you finally get into the space properly from your 200 level upward, you get to write back to back exams every single time. An exam is in your head every 2 months, an exam is in your head every 8 weeks, sometimes every 6 weeks, an exam is in your head, and everything just keeps like going fast like that. Be prepared for that. Know that majority of your life is going to be you writing exams. Even when you finish the medical school, you will still have to write an exam to get a placement for a job. You need to write an exam to become a resident, you need to write an exam to become a consultant, and your life is filled with exams till you get to the top, and those are still a lot of years. But as I said, those years are years of your life, and you should be the one to know how you want to live your life. And earlier I said that you may have been pushed, especially if you have been pushed by your parents to study medicine. If that's not what you want, the truth is, I won't. Maybe you might end up liking, or maybe your parents have assessed you and they're like, oh, you're good to go. But you can show them this video and reason with them. But I feel most of the people who end up not finishing medical school, because that's and that thing. Well, I'm getting there. Most of the people who end up not finishing medical school, they are those who were probably uninterested or probably pushed to study the course, and they were just like lackadaisical about studying and getting good grades because they just wanted to go somewhere else. And that really affects performance, that really affects the general well-being of people everywhere. This is not entering my video. Okay, I'm hoping that whatever the person is doing outside is not going to interrupt this video. I was saying it affects performance and it affects like almost every other area of the person's life because I have noticed that if I'm not productive in one part of my life, it kind of spills over to other parts of the life. Someone who goes late to an event will most likely go late to class. Those kind of things, but like I'm just saying things spill over like that without you knowing subconsciously. And when you're lackadaisical in one area of your life, you become lackadaisical in other areas of your life. As I said earlier, that some people don't end up finishing medical school, and this is what not so many people know. Or people, medical school is a very hyper competitive environment, especially in the first few years when they admit a lot of people, and then they like in the first year they like cut half of people and say, "Oh, reach up the cutoff mark and all," and they push them aside. And truth, you need to know the institution you're applying to, how they really do their things. You can ask this, look for someone who goes to that institution there, and if you are maybe 100 of you, I don't just go on Twitter and say, "Oh, I just got admission into this and this, and I would like to know how." And you usually find people on Twitter who Twitter is a wonderful space. I don't know why I'm pushing trial, but I usually find people on Twitter who would be able to like put you through and like say, "Oh, this is how things are over here in medical school." And the medical school community is just a very tight, wonderful place to be on Twitter. But let's, I think I'm driving off. As I was saying, most of the time in medical school, for some period of time, you'll be fighting not to be amongst the set of people who will get dragged out of medical school or who will get dropped out of medical school. And that those are really high tension moments. And so you end up having very high tension moments almost all through till probably maybe your fourth year, fifth year, thereabouts. And you should get ready for that. If you're not someone who is emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature, you won't be able to really go. And if you're going to medicine, like I said, at that then I thought medicine had a lot of there's money in medicine, yes, per se. Of course, you're going to be more than you're going to be a bit more than the receiving a bit more than the average pay, but like the workload and the work-life balance compared to other sectors that I've looked at now, like the finance sector or the tech sector, is just so quite it's quite very different from like medical field. When I go home sometimes and I see how many calls my brother goes for and like how he comes home, how he does not come home one day and all these kind of things, I'm like, wait, seriously, this is how I will be living very soon. And just for like there's literally little to no work-life balance as a medical student and medical school, and also you would begin to lose a lot, to be ready to like lose a lot of. Well, you're young, so I don't think there's this adage that says that 20 children cannot play in the same compound for 20 years. Be put that back on your head that you're going to lose a lot of connections and friends, maybe because of you're so focused on just passing this exam and missing the other exam and passing the exam. That, but always make time for that. Always make time. I always set out time to call my parents, and sometimes they call me too when I forget because, oh, this boy not call me this so and it just happens. And I think it's something that you should begin to implement in your life and your journey. And I know, and also I've spoken to like many medical students, and I do this interview stuff up and down. And I've just had some heart to heart talk with some people, and they've told me that if they were told to choose between being in medical school or becoming and coming to medical school and that thing, they will most likely choose the other thing. But for me, it's a thin line, but I feel like I've gone into maybe the art space, like the finance marketplace or something like that. But at the end, medicine is quite rewarding, although there's a lot of sacrifice that you would end up making. And those things, no matter how I tell you, just the same way my brother told me, "Oh, don't do medicine." No matter how I tell you right now, you yourself, after as I'm telling you now, you're giving yourself reasons that, oh, of course, those things will happen, will come, I'll face them and that's in the experience will be the one to teach you. And I don't know, you maybe the one telling you the one telling the younger ones later in the future, just like I've told you, for them not to choose medicine. I'll say this. I think what is really bothering me is that so many people have been deceived by the glamour that they see online. Although the medical life will like can give you a bit of glamour, but like just know you have to be if you're too focused on this medical school thing, I feel you should if you feel like that's your calling, because that's what people say. Medicine is not medicine is a calling. So if you feel like that's your calling, do everything you can to get a medicine. I know when I was in secondary school, I did everything I could to make sure I got medicine. I read Apabio, I read A-level physics, I read books, all those question and answer books that, but if you need jam tips, I can maybe talk about how I read back then, but I knew I went almost like through all the years of Germans and like I got 7 A's and 2B2s in my YEC and 282 or so in Jam. But and well, right now I don't even know. I'm not when last day I look at the results. It got me to where I am today. So you can, if you really want to study medicine, go on. I'm just here to give you a heads up that it's not a rosy journey. It's not what you've seen in Chicago Med. It's not what you've seen in Grey's Anatomy, and it's definitely going to have a lot of trials and tribulations. But be of good cheer. Some of us have overcome. and you also you'll be able to overcome. So why not? I just get to talk about this a bit, just let it out, and still legendary. See you in the next one or next talk like this.